Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from beautiful Florida. And our favorite question from last week has turned out to be Nina's question about inanimate objects and their spiritual awareness. So congratulations, Nina. And if you'll be kind enough to send me your mailing information, I will send you the audio exercises from first and second degree in audio file on CD. And thank you for your wonderful question. This week we will have another set of questions, and our first one today comes to us from Chris. And Chris asks about the energy of the full moon. Chris tells us that her mother has always told her that the full moon is, quote, when the crazies come out, end quote. And that it's a very dangerous time because people do insane things and many dangerous things happen, and that it's not a safe time to walk alone, for example, and so forth. But Chris says that she is under the impression the full moon is a very positive thing, that its energy is a wonderful positive energy. She certainly finds it so. So she does not understand why it should be the case that a positive thing should bring about negative behaviors, unless possibly it has to do with ungrounded energy. And she would like my take on it. And my take on it is that she has, of course, answered her own question. The full moon has a very powerful energy. This is why we particularly like to focus on manifestational magic at full moon. We take advantage of that heightened energy, which is at the strongest point in the month. So if you want energy, the full moon is the time to draw it from the ambient energy of the universe. There is more there than usual. And the thing you have to remember is that everyone is susceptible to energy, whether they're conscious of it or not, whether they know what it is or not. Everyone is energetic in character, and they respond to energy. So when that energy of the full moon is at its height and there's more energy in the atmosphere than usual, it affects them. And particularly if they're also highly psychic and unaware of it, as many people are, it will affect them even more. But of course, people who don't know about energy also don't know how to ground energy. And so that heightened energy of the full moon will not only be all around them and inside them, but they'll be bouncing around within it, and it can be very ungrounding to a person who is susceptible to it. Now, the extent to which people are open to energy varies from person to person. The extent to which they are able to deal with energy varies from person to person, and so for this reason the effect will vary as well. For some people it will simply make them more creative, some people won't notice it at all, and some people will have a reaction rather like being slightly drunk, and in some cases more than slightly. So it can actually have a negative side effect, just as energy always can if there's too much of it and you become ungrounded. Grounding is very, very important. I cannot emphasize too much how important grounding is. And as to the question of why a positive thing would have a negative side effect, you have to understand how these things work from at least a Correllian perspective. In certain religious traditions, they think of good and bad as being opposites. But our teaching is and has been that good exists in the middle, and extremes are always bad. Whether it's too much or too little, it's not good. You need to be balanced in the center. So that energy is wonderful, but if you have too much of it, it's going to be ungrounding to you. And if you have too little, well, you'll have too little energy. And this is true no matter where that energy is coming from. Energy is in everything, but too much of it is always ungrounding, and with the full moon the energy is particularly strong, and while it can be wonderfully nourishing, it can also be extremely ungrounding if you don't know what to do with it. So for those people who are on a spiritual path, it's good to be aware of the cycles of the moon, and it's very important to always be aware of grounding, and I recommend grounding at least a couple of times a day, and definitely anytime you do anything spiritual. So that would be my answer to the question. I hope you find it helpful, and until next time, may you blessed be. Hello, this is Reverend Don Lewis, and did you know that I'm also a psychic reader? For over 30 years, I have been a psychic reader specializing in tarot and clairvoyance, and if you would like a reading with me, you can set one up, either by phone or by email, by contacting me at donlewishp@aol.com. And until next time, may you blessed be.